Compressors and air tools. And over here, this is kind of my favorite section. We've got all sorts of more kitchen household tools, right? We've got dehydrators, canning setups. We've got juicers, we got a sausage stuffer up there, we got a milling machine if you want to get wild with, gluten-free flours. Yeah. We've got a soy milk maker over there, ice cream maker.
Also, if I would be interested in making some schnitzels here, would you have stuff that's good for that? I see you have
we've got a mixer, we've got a food processor, we've got an infrared camera donated by the city so you can check how hot your schnitzel is. Ooh. And your pan to get maximal schnitzel makeage, We've got double burner camp stove. Get 2 schnitzels going at once if you're getting wild. Actually, you could bread it with, say, acorn flour or chickpea flour in our mill. We even actually have a deep fryer. So you can do the whole thing. You can go start to finish. We got hammers, you got to pound your meat out, it's one-stop schnitzel shop. That's our motto here at the Tool Library. So it's not just drills, drivers, and saws, right? It's a full collection of all sorts of equipment and things you could possibly use once or twice and then want to share.
Since when? Well, it says 2015 actually, so there goes that question.
But yeah, so we're coming up on 10 years. 2015, I think it was established and opened in 2016. We're 100% volunteer run. We all work full-time jobs, some of us multi-jobs. Unfortunately, we don't have a workshop space here. But as we'll see later in the episode, hopefully, foreshadowing. Yeah, that's we'll be seeing some other spaces as well. Yeah. But this is kind of the hub right here.
And it's on a membership basis.
Yeah, exactly. So there's tool libraries all over the world. We all kind of run a little bit differently. But here at the Victoria Tool Library, you sign up for a year-long membership, and then you have full access to this full library.
And sometimes you offer membership to people for example, producing your flyer.
Yeah, for sure. My partner did. For sure. Which is actually on the door right there. Yeah. Shout out to Claire. She did a great job. Yeah. Thanks, Claire. Yeah. But really, it is all that, right? Like all the back end of this. Like there's so much labor that goes into this place, right? Like we have a website, we have a full system of inventory, right? A grant section, we have meetings, there's all sorts of skill levels, and we're all learning collectively together, right? Like I've learned so much about spreadsheets and Google Docs and meetings.
Exactly what you thought you would learn.
Yeah. Why, man? We also learned a lot about tools. We got a lot of wacky tools, right?
Like what tool would you recommend if I wanted to start my noise music career with one of the tools from the tool library?
Oh man, you get wild, buddy. Get a ladder and get a scythe and rub them together and get an angle grinder on there, throw sparks around. Like, walk in on a shift, buddy, and I'm sure there's a noise musician who will walk in with you.
Tool library is a shared space, but the building tool library is also a shared space. So this is actually like one of the more interesting community arts buildings, I would say, in the city.
Yeah, 100%. So run by Vivas. We Are Vivas is the website you should go check out. There's studios on every floor. We also, technically speaking, this is the biggest contemporary gallery in the city, right? Every hallway up and down these 4 floors, just packed full of incredible art. I mean, you come here for the tools and you stay for the art, you know, and it's like, it's this incredible milieu of just creative people working together, and, you know, there's music events happening all the time, and if you're out there in the world and find yourself kind of depressed because stuff's looking pretty rough, you know, you come through here and then you get to really connect. And so it's...
Well, what an amazing community space, and I'm sure that the city is doing everything in its power to protect and save this place for many generations to come.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, while there can always be more art spending, I think the city does a really good job of really trying to reach out and help people expand. Again, make sure these spaces are established and continue on in whatever form it may be.
Yeah. That's very positive of you. I was actually leaning in toward the building being demolished, but...
Oh, it's not being demolished, it's being redeveloped.
Redeveloped, okay.
But you know, at the same time, right, like through those connections, there are other buildings that sit vacant, right? So instead of this place sitting vacant, it's filled with artists. That transfers out to the city, and boy, there's a lot of vacant buildings. So you know, like rats out of a ship, like we're all gonna go out there and create other communities and other community spaces. And when that focus and that energy is put into a community base, it's not just, okay, one thing is closed, that's the end of it. One thing closes and all of those people who have been involved spread out, and they take from what they've learned and establish their own new community spaces.
Let's take a look through this building. I mean,
yeah,
we're here,
well, let's go meet Ashley from the Ministry of Casual Living. We have a long relationship, the two library ministry, and now we share this space together.
Hello.
Thanks, Russell. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Welcome to our space.
Okay, but like, what is the Ministry of Casual Living actually?
So,
I hear the word art.
Yes, we're Artist Friend Center. Yeah, we don't really want it to come to an end, but all things do.
So I attempted to bring that up earlier, and then Russell was all positive. Maybe we could talk a little bit about that. So when this broadcasts, the space probably will still exist, but not for too much longer after that.
We are here till December 2026. Then we move. We've done this a lot of times before, so it's sad, but it's also an opportunity for growth and change. Yeah. Sorry, that was positive.
No, but I think it's true, right? Like, I think everything has a life cycle. And I think that's something really important to think about, you know, when I think about the Tool Library or the ministry. It's not just a space, right? It's the ideas and people and community and philosophy that makes the space, right? You have the organization before you have ever a space. So the space changes, but people still work together. And, you know, the important thing is that core philosophy and group mentality continues on. And I think, again, everything having a life cycle, it's about the hours put in and the community made, right? No time spent here in any organization or studio is wasted time. It doesn't matter if that ends.
Would you like to actually show us around to some of these places?
Sure.
While we're here?
Well, let's start with our wing here. So we have two spaces that we program. This hallway space we've made into a hallway gallery, because why not? Otherwise it looks like an office.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
This is sort of what we call our lounge gallery.
Lounge gallery?
Lounge gallery.
I see a lot of crows. Yes,
this is a corvid show. People were invited to bring their corvid art, which is ravens, crows, jays. The crows took over, as they do.
It's just dawned on me that I've never done anything in this space yet. I would like to change that.
Yeah.
You should. I mean, I love the fact that you guys have all these sort of community projects. You've done a lot of collaging and painting together. And it's sort of an add-on. You get to see a show and talk to people and create together, which is something I love about the ministry.
Often it's somebody's very first time showing. We're always talking about building community, but you can only build it if you get the community to come.
Building community in a community building.
There you go.
Yeah.
This was from Monkey See, which you're going to next.
Oh! Okay.
Yeah, it made cat sounds.
Okay, so you called this that's why you called it the meow mixer. Feline good. That's a little foreshadowing for where we're going to go later. Let's hit the bathroom. Don't want to say that I have to take a leak, but I might have to take a leak.
And this is the bathroom.
Yay, the bathroom.
I should just check. Come on in.
There's nobody in there with their pants down?
It's clear.
Hello. I think we're good. Okay, so welcome to the bathroom.
The bathroom gallery.
I really like this one. I find it very poignant. Like it's kind of speaking to like the times that we live in and how everything is a little bit out of service, even while and yet you have to have the signage.
Life is temporary.
Life is temporary.
Yeah.
It's kind of riffing also on the building, like anyway.
Yeah, deep. So this is just one exhibit that we like to put art in the bathroom because we're an art space.
Okay.
So.
And I love that you guys did this. Like, one of my favorite things about the ministry too, right, is like, what is a gallery? What is art for? What's a space? So first time I came up here and I really had to use the washroom, I was like, whoa, this is so cool.
Yeah, totally. And just
we have had things there for people to read. Okay. It was the first one was an Andy Warhol themed.
Oh, okay.
And so Andy Warhol's quotes are around, so I thought that was, a nice time to have a moment with Andy.
Yeah, I also appreciate that the signage shows that this is for anybody can use this bathroom.
Anybody. Yeah, they have mer people, Odin or with his raven.
I just want to take this moment to thank you for sharing some of your favorite places in the building with us. I think it's really important to be willing to be vulnerable and like take people to the things that really matter and are special. So thank you so much.
Thank you for coming and visiting my favorite spaces.
One thing you might notice is the House of Owl. They're an incredible organization on the 4th floor. They do DJ events, poetry, all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
And look who it is!
Hey guys,
Hello.
how you doing?
I feel like we've already encountered you today in a certain sense.
Yeah, you saw the Meow Mixer downstairs.
The Meow Mixer, yes.
Well, I got many, many, many more machines to show you.
Speaking of machines, we should eventually get on the pedicab. Maybe I should turn on the motor. So you said this is your first time on a pedicab?
This is my first time on as a passenger, absolutely, yes.
Now, I've been passing by ArtCade for quite a while, and I was like, oh, well, that place looks kind of funny. I'd like to check it out. And so that's how we got to meeting, and I was thinking about this episode, and I thought in terms of the sheer interactivity of everything you do, it's robots.
Well, you're the art and you're the performance.
Well, exactly, yeah. And how does one get into that? Were you imagining like performance robots, beep boop, as a kid?
Not really. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to like taking things apart. That was always fun. I could never get them back together again, though. I was fascinated by like the sculptural elements of electronic circuits and things like that. They look like little cities. But yeah, I kind of stumbled into it when I was in grad school, actually. I took a class that was like physical computing, and then I learned that you could make things in the physical world that will affect computers. And once you can control a computer, then you can do all sorts of crazy things.
So where did the interactive part come into it?
That was, I mean, kind of accidentally, to be honest. Like the first thing we ever made was called the Registroid. It was an old cash register. And I found it at a junk store one day, and I was like, can we make this thing do something? Can we like modify this cash register to make music? And it took months. It took almost 6 months to actually do it. It's a lot quicker now than it used to be. I'm kind of a builder electronics person. And then I met Dave, who makes music and is a composer. And that sort of helped because we have very opposite skill sets. That's a very helpful thing for us.
For a second, I thought you meant my director of photography, who you also know. And I was like, wait, you make music with Dave? What?
No, but I have worked with Dave, though, in the past. I was a filmmaker before I was an interactive art maker. The first interactive piece we ever made was for the film festival. And it was actually a controllable video screen that it would check you for bacterial infection.
What?
And it was just an illusion. It was none of it was real, but it was a handprint on a window that was a video screen projected from behind. And so if you put your hand onto it, though, it would look like it was scanning your hand. And then people freaked out, though. They were like, are you stealing my fingerprints? They're like, they don't like that. There was really a visceral reaction to this thing because they get to interact with it and engage with it.
Yeah, it freaks people out.
Yeah, it can be very powerful, I guess is the point. Not that necessarily, we don't tend to freak people out now. Like we go more for playful and connecting people, but.
You decided not to use your power for evil.
Exactly. Not yet.
How long ago was this the first time that you did any sort of?
More than a decade ago now. I think it was 2012.
And what is the job title in this case?
My official title is mostly harmless mad scientist.
Nice Douglas Adams
Yeah,
reference.
exactly, right? Yes. There's some playfulness to all of it, I think, that is part of what we're going for. Childlike wonder, a little whimsy. When I was a filmmaker, I mean, I made a lot of really dark films, and now I tend not to.
Right. And there's enough of it in the world, you don't need to
I don't
like,
need to add to it, really.
Right.
The locals tend to really embrace and kind of support strange and wonderful and weird things, which is really good.
You make things in unusual spaces. This DIY aesthetic is important for like so many different communities. Well, and part of that is the fact that because we don't always have venues, official venues for things, we have to kind of contrive venues in places that were not necessarily intended for that.
Yeah, like this is kind of an age-old thing in all cities, I believe. It's that, once the rent is cheap enough, then the artists can use the space to create really interesting and fun things. They create culture, they create community in that area, and then then they tend to, then people want to live there because that's where the art and culture is happening and all the cool things, and then they eventually get priced out of it.
Yeah.
And then they have to go to the cheaper part of town to repeat the process all over again.
This was the first time I've ever heard the words rent cheap in the context of the city of Victoria, so.
But I think, you know what, that's a good point. Like you mentioned, this is happening every city, and I think it's happened throughout time, right? I mean, you read books from 1890s and people are complaining about gentrification in Paris, right? So it's like this eternal recurrence, it's eternal setup of, creation and merging and reformation and just making the best out of what you have. And
The spaces where the rent is cheap enough often is because they want to do something else with the building, but they just haven't gotten around to it yet, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the case for both of these buildings. They have capitalist ideas around it, but they haven't actually manifested yet.
Yeah, I mean, our space is slated for development. We don't know the exact timeline right now, but eventually it's going to get turned into condos. But in the meantime, the developers have been really great in sponsoring us to use the space for the art, right?
Right.
And making it affordable for us to be able to make art. But also, I think we add to the block, we add to the community. There's more people around, there's more things happening. It's a really good kind of community builder, as the arts do, right?
I also think that like you have people interacting with your spaces and maybe having revelations of their own. I can imagine there are people who aren't necessarily already electronic musicians or whatnot, and then they come into a place like the ArtCade and they're like, this is fun, right?
I think everyone is creative, and giving them opportunities to create. And sometimes you need a little nudge, man. We all lose it a bit as we get older, and kids are quick to pull out the markers and draw something, but the grown-ups are afraid they're gonna do something wrong. And so just giving them the opportunity, helping them to, I guess feed their inner child, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, I'm so glad. Thanks for doing all this stuff, man. I'm excited to see it.
We're feeding out. Here we go. We're gonna feed the inner child right here. All right, welcome to the ArtCade. So this is an interactive art gallery. Now, these are all one-of-a-kind sculptures. They're all playable. They light up and make music. It is unlike anything you've probably ever done before because it only exists here in Victoria. Now, we've been building these machines called the Mutant Machines for 12 years now. We brought them back here recently and discovered they become infected with a strange alien life form. Now, don't worry. We've isolated them. We believe they're harmless. But you see, we're artists, not scientists. So for your own safety, if you'd like to go in, you're going to need to go through our decontamination portal. Okay, you're going to need one of these buttons here. These are going to protect you from the harmful radiation in the chamber. This is a 1919 cash register, and it controls our decontamination portal. This first column here is going to change the colors in the portal. Second one's going to change the patterns. Once you're happy with what you're looking at with the first two columns, then you're going to hit one button in the third column. That's going to start the sound. Now, when the sound happens, you're both going to get into the chamber together, and you're going to wait. You're going to let the sound do the work to decontaminate you, okay? It's subsonic. It's going to feel weird. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but it's important for your safety, and this is serious. Okay, that's what the C in Monkey C is for. It's for serious, okay? Once it
Makes sense.
dings like a microwave dinner, that means you're cooked and you're good to go. It's getting there, it's getting there.
I'm feeling it.
Feeling it.
Oh, I'm cooked.
Oh,
Phew. Okay, come on.
Feels like being a DJ again, but you know, spectral. And so
that one's called the RoboDock. We actually have a mobile version of that that's attached to a pedicab.
Do you really?
We do.
Where?
Next door.
Attached to a pedicab?
Yeah, it's in the back of it. We built one, a smaller version of that attached to the back of a pedicab.
How can I attach that to my pedicab?
Maybe you could. Yeah.
We need to. This conversation is not over.
Okay, we'll talk. That's got cats in it too.
Whoa!
Which one has cats? Oh, there. Ooh.
That's Sarah.
Sarah?
So we're gonna go. You do it. I don't want to do all the machines. I've done all the machines before.
Yes, done them to death, I suppose. But do you know the hacks? Are there
Some
like
of them,
special things only an engineer knows?
There's certain hacks to some of them. Definitely some Easter eggs every now and then, but
Yeah.
I don't tell people what they are. You got to find them.
You got to find them on your own.
Yeah. Some of the machines actually make really great different noises if you do specific things with them, and I can hear them from the front, so it makes me really happy when people find them.
Yeah, I
'Cause
bet.
there are little clues around to tell you what to do, but you got to find them yourself.
Okay.
This one's about 10 years old. We made this about 10 years ago. Now, yeah, about 10 years ago. Rumbly bass when you touch that part. Oh, you're getting into it.
I feel like I haven't been to this room before.
Oh,
right?
you probably haven't. It's newish. Well, this is our new machine here.
Whoa!
Okay.
Another rock slide.
Yeah, that's
crossover.
Alicia Farling's work.
That is fantastic.
That's so funny because when I first encountered her work, it was in the place we just were.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a question about the space, because it just opened up. So previously.
This space is we built this expansion out, I don't know, about 6 months ago. And then there's a doorway back there that goes into next door that we're building out in January.
Okay, so you have how much bigger is the space than what we've seen?
They're about almost double. There's
Double?
About 60% more rooms than this space right now.
Oh, wild.
And so we're
Okay.
slowly building that out. And then this is the musical railings.
So do you sometimes hear people doing things that you never would have imagined? Combinations where you're like, oh, that's actually, ooh.
Yes. Part of the really fun thing that we've noticed here is that we actually get kind of real-time feedback on machines that we're building. So we'll bring out things that are not really done yet, and we intend people to use it a certain way, but they always do something else with it because people are kind of creative and they're resourceful and whatever else. And so we learn more from other people about how to build things than we do from ourselves, if that makes sense. Because then we get to see what people want to do with it versus what we intend for them to do with it.
Right.
Yeah.
That interactive aspect goes right from the beginning in a way,
Yeah.
right to full final product and setup.
It's nice having this space to be able to do that. Like the one in the back is we just built it and said, okay, this is the first time out in the world, and we'll see how people respond to it, and then we can adjust it accordingly.
Do you have serious musicians, electronic artists, whatever, coming in and?
We have a lot. We have a lot of musicians. Dave, who is the main composer for most of this, has sort of parameters of okay, if you create the stems in a certain way, or take a song that you already have, but format it like this, then we can use it on this machine if you're into that. And even the one up here, oh, come on, come see this one. This one up here. This is Merge, so he's local. He's a local guy. And he never actually got to play with it until years after we made it. Even though he made the music, because anyone else can remix it, it sounds nothing like the song. Not nothing, but it's reminiscent of the song he made.
Right.
But it's completely different. That's really interesting for him too, to be able to see.
I could imagine bringing this into a venue and playing it like that too, and people, the crowd absolutely going wild. Yeah, I could play with this all day.
Right? So this is one of the kind of early machines that we made called the Registroid.
The Registroid, love it.
Yeah.
It's interesting to imagine the people who actually built this way back when, and if you could just show them what it would eventually become.
Right? Unfortunately, they're beautiful machines, and they're recyclable at this point. We have one from a family that had a hardware store in the 1950s in Victoria, and it was the cash register from the hardware store, and they shut it down in 1963, and it sat in their basement, and then their kids played with it, and their grandkids played with it, and now they're downsized into a condo, and they've got this 150-pound piece of metal that's got all these memories attached to it, and it's this thing, like it's part of their family, but they can't, and it's gonna get melted down, like it's garbage. Right. And so they brought it to us, and they were like, "Can you do something with this?" I was like, "I'd love to." And so a lot of this stuff, like a lot of the stuff around here, people are dropping things off for us now because they don't want it to go in the trash, because they're beautiful things, but they take up space and they're useless.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we end up with it because we can turn it into something fun, hopefully.
One can only hope that when the day comes that you have to move, you will find another space.
I hope so. Yeah, I think we got a good chance to find another space. Like there seems to be plenty of empty storefronts. Sorry, that's there is. I'm not wrong.
We've got until June of next year. Now, who knows what's happening by June of next year? But hey, you're watching this. It's got to be pretty close to June of next year. So get your butt down to the ArtCade and check it out while it's here.
While it's here. Yes, exactly. Thanks for checking it out, and thanks for pushing our buttons.
Yeah.
Oh, look who it is! It's Jenny.
Hey, nice to see you.
You as well.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Thank you for agreeing to be part of this.
Happy to be a part
You
of
were
it.
actually Russell's idea, but when he told me about everything that you're doing, I couldn't resist. So we've been going to places that are that have been here for a while, but might be shutting down sometime in the reasonably near future. And what you are actually presenting us with is a very new space. You are you're not the brainchild of MakeSpace. MakeSpace is the brainchild of you. Is that the right English? Am I Englishing right?
Yes, whatever you just said, yes. I've been thinking about a project like this for many, many years because it totally relates to the work I've been doing across Vancouver Island. Just talking to the art sector and figuring out what gaps exist, what the opportunities are, and then what the barriers to stepping into those opportunities are.
And you've been community organizing for a long time,
Oh,
right?
yeah, from birth.
Yeah.
But I've been sitting at my desk for 20 years doing a bunch of policy stuff around the art sector, but not actually building infrastructure. So this is new terrain. After studying the problem for so long, I wanted to be part of the solution, and the solution is tools and space, whatever those tools are. So one solution for the art sector in terms of gaps is space to create. That could be a gallery, that could be an arts council, but also there's the tools for creativity. That's the part that I'm really interested in. So for my particular interest, you have to find a light industrial zone space, and that is not easy. Like the spaces you've been visiting today, those are just plain old commercial spaces, and you can do a wide variety of things in there, but you cannot have a table saw.
Oh,
you
yeah.
cannot run power tools and giant dust collection and laser cutters. You just can't, unless you do it quietly.
Which we would never do.
No. Yes, so it took a long time to find light industrial zone space. There is light industrial zone space in the city, and it is out of reach, not just in terms of rent, but also the improvements you would have to make to those spaces so that you could sleep at night if there was an earthquake.
Right. Oh my God.
I couldn't live with myself if we were in the ground floor of one of those spaces and there was an earthquake and all those people came into the space because I invited them there. It's more than my nervous system can handle. I grew up in Southern Ontario. There's a lot of Mennonites, and that's like You know, you all come together and you build a barn for somebody. I love that.
We're so trapped in this sort of 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, and so many of us are so alienated from these really awful jobs that we hate going to, but we need to pay rent. That when you get out there into the world and you're working with community and you're working with your friends and meeting new people and learning so much, like, it doesn't matter. It's not about the wage. I mean, I'm sure Johnny wants to get paid, but
nice.
It is about a love of what you're doing and
Totally.
sort of the broad spectrum good that it's doing for community and self, right? Which is I'm super excited for the MakeSpace. We're collaborating now with the tool library, and as soon as I heard it was happening, I was super, super excited.
You know, when I first learned to make furniture 35 years ago, there was this old retired guy. He was Special Forces. Retired from the Special Forces, but he knew about woodworking and sculpture. And he was thrilled to share his knowledge with me. Like, he knew so much, and he just wanted to have someone who was interested to carry that forward. And every day we get people that just cannot wait until we're open because they have a lot of skills that they want to share. I'm one of these people that falls in love with URL ideas. Middle of the night, you're like, gotta buy that domain. They released .art.
Oh.
And I like a sentence. So MakeSpace for art, it's a rallying cry. Well, that's the theme of the show here, MakeSpace for art. Come on in. One component of the MakeSpace, which is our coffee shop called North Park, named because we are in the awesome North Park neighborhood. And this cafe is a happy accident. When we were looking for a space with this new building, the city required that this be a cafe. So the two workshops are on either side of this space. So as soon as I found the workshops that had the light industrial zoning that we needed, then we said, well, I guess we're also running a cafe. Which is a really happy accident, because this becomes the soft entry point for folks that have never had the opportunity to learn to work with the kind of production grade tools that we're going to have in this space. There's going to be a big garage door there that will let you see into the Fab Lab. And the Fab Lab is full of all these awesome fabrication tools. So then you're sitting here drinking your coffee going, holy cow, look what they're doing. Or someone's come in from the wood shop all covered in dust, and then you're just kind of wondering, well, what are they working on?
Come closer, said the spider to the fly.
Yes. So tools is a really interesting thing that certain genders have had more access to tools. That is my experience over my lifetime. My father was very handy, but my brother was the one that got to work with him in the wood shop. It wasn't until I was an adult when I started to get access to tools. And I've been making furniture for 30 years. There still aren't women in the fine furniture magazines. You still don't have a Mother's Day tool sale. You get the Father's Day tool flyer. And so the cafe plays this really cool role of building exposure and possibly interest and maybe even a little bit of confidence by seeing all genders in the workshops working with tools, changing the face of who uses tools, sort of normalizing.
Well, that's also I think that's very contemporary in a way also, because we are also, we're rethinking what gender even means today.
My experience, I do a lot of volunteer work with the Auntie Collective, which is an Indigenous creative practice hub that's a couple blocks over. And I really have got to see over the past couple of years, if you remove barriers, incredible talent rises to the surface. And the mosque is half a block away. This is one of the most culturally diverse neighborhoods and parks in the city. So that's pretty exciting to see what opportunity comes when you just make a very low barrier entry to creative community.
Great.
So why don't I show you the other space?
Yes, let's do this.
Okay.
All right.
So if the Lintot Creative Portal was real, we would walk through there to get to the Fab Lab, because the architect who's been working with us on this project, Christine Lintot, just donated the money we need to buy this garage door. But we can't go that way right now.
So we're going through the magical
We're going through the
space.
magical portal, and here we are in the Fab Lab. We've had a laser cutter donated, we've had an etching press. whatever you can fabricate. So value-added manufacturing. Where do you start if you don't have the resources to get exposure to these tools? So we have a lot of folks that want to teach in here and a lot of folks that want to learn in here. So you get access to the tools to start to build out products or concepts or whatever that you're interested in, but the skills that you learn along the way have great applicability. So just a different kind of creative gathering place, very focused on what they call the maker economy or the inclusive economy. We're going to have sort of an artist in residence program as well. And what happens if you put wildly creative artists in a space full of incredible technology? Like, things can come out of it that you actually never had imagined. So.
Well, it's the unpredictable element as well. That's what it is. Like, you take a tool, you put it in your kitchen, you're doing the thing that you're going to do, you bring it back. They complain about the pancake batter, but you know, other than that, there's not much that's unpredictable. But but like here, it's because you're exchanging these ideas.
So I call this a creative manufacturing hub. I just made up that term, creative manufacturing.
It's a good word.
But it really is this gateway into other skills. So,
well, when we were at ArtCade, Scott was telling me that he's played around with putting kind of music-y robot things on a pedicab in the past. So that got me thinking, oh, what else could we put on my pedicab? So we might be here with the pedicab doing all kinds of cyborg, cycleborg stuff.
ArtCade is it's kind of cool that you came here from ArtCade, because not only the state of mind you need to be in, but actually the practical skills you need to pull that off. Those are really cool skills.
Yeah.
So we're going to have some of the equipment here that you could use to make your pedicab play music. Totally.
Okay.
I also think too that it's such a great space to have so many different people and so many different voices, and I think that sense of community, that's sort of what ties, you know, almost this entire podcast together, is this sense of community where you want to ask questions, you want to learn. It's exciting to troubleshoot and work through problems together, as opposed to sitting at home just really angry because something doesn't work. You know, you don't talk to somebody else, and you know, maybe they start as a collaborator or a coworker, and now they're friends, and you can build relationships along with knowledge. And I'm really excited for this place.
And you can see it's not very big. And so what's interesting here is we're testing this kind of tools and space at the neighborhood level. It's as important as a pool, as important as an arena, as a curling rink. If you don't have access to tools and space, you're not included in the economy. This is where you will find me. Once we get all of the, once we get all of the, we got about 200,000 to raise for tools for both spaces. And by the way, the grant that the tool library helped us get from the city is paying for getting this to occupancy. So electrical, plumbing, that money will evaporate in a minute. For that.
Yeah, as it does.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you could tell me just a little bit about, like, because we talk about a lot of places, well, they're going to be here until, you know, until the condos get built, but that's not the case here. What are we looking at in terms of lifespan for this place?
Well,
it's just born, right? It's newly born.
Brand new building.
Yeah.
So this is a self-storage building. And we have a 5-year lease with 2 5-year renewals. So we could be here for 15 years. And my vision is we prove so effectively about the value of neighborhood economic inclusion infrastructure that we strata off these spaces and then sell them to the nonprofit, or the city takes them over or something, so that this becomes a permanent asset.
I just also wanted to just talk about the involvement of the city in a lot of projects, because I mean, we have traveled around with, like, for example, Matt Dell, who's talked a lot about, like, creating cultural spaces.
I was really impressed that they responded favorably to our grant application for cultural infrastructure, because I don't think this is typically what people think about when they think about cultural infrastructure. They think about an art gallery or a performance art space. I'm really happy that the city saw saw their way to support this kind of infrastructure.
Well, and you mentioned before too, right? This specifically, sort of this section was zoned as light industrial from a holdover as the other space there.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, if that decision hadn't happened, if one person didn't choose that or think about that.
Good point. And it's so unusual to find light industrial in a neighborhood. So this is a holdover from the past. North Park used to be churches, funeral homes, and then some of this light industrial. So just an extension of the industry of the downtown. But wouldn't it be amazing if we started to see light industrial zones in neighborhoods? Because it's not like there's a lot of noise coming out of these places. It's not like heavy industry. So, yes, okay, all right, okay. Yeah, that's pretty noisy.
It's so unusual to meet somebody who has not just a 5-year plan or even a 10-year plan, but a 15-year plan. I mean, that's a long commitment, like having a cat.
There's this amazing woman named Zita Cobb, and she lives on a tiny island off the coast of Newfoundland, Fogo Island.
Yeah.
And she has single-handedly changed their economy from being very resource-based to 66% of the island works in a business that has tourism and creative entrepreneurship and so forth. And she says if you have a really tough problem to solve, you have to bring in the artists, because the artists see things in ways that nobody else does. And so what you're doing is you're actually interviewing the people who are trying to solve the problem of how do you make space for artists in a city that's getting as unaffordable as this place. So I'm just one of many people that are trying to figure out how to solve that problem.
Now, you mentioned your favorites as the kitchen tools. Now, what if, a lot of people have come out and everything that's meant for food preparation is gone, but I still want to make pancakes? What tool would you recommend?
For making pancakes.
With all of the kitchen tools gone.
Well, I don't know, Johnny. I'm not a pancake guy. I'm not.
Aren't you?
I would just do it right here on the table. We got a hot plate, get a pan, get wild.
Okay, so no, you wouldn't use a palm sander for that?
We ask members keep our tools clean and return them because this is a shared space. So if you get pancake batter on your palm sander, clean that up, please. Otherwise, we'll have to do it. And then I'll get jealous because you didn't invite me to your pancake making contest.
You're always invited, of course. Look at us standing here awkwardly in a bathroom.
Well, this is your first time starting awkwardly in a bathroom?
Oh, no.
Come on. That mustache tells me you've been in a couple bathrooms awkwardly before.
We won't use that.
Clear it up in editing.
Okay.